So hello and welcome to a brand new venture for us here at the In the Headlights YouTube channel. Tim and I have decided that we should probably do a podcast, as it's going to be, well, it's National Podcast
It is, yeah.
Day or something, isn't it? Is
Yeah.
it National Podcast Day? Or?
Let's go with that.
Okay, so you may have already seen some of the videos that we've put up on our In the Headlights YouTube channel, covering lots of cars and lifestyle products and stuff. We're now going into the audio world, but of course you might be watching this on YouTube as well. If you are, we're waving at the camera now.
Hi.
Tim's done his hair specially for today, so we're all
Yep.
we're all looking good and we're all sounding good.
Yeah, apologies for any glinting off my top of my shiny dome.
Yes. And if you are listening, then you might hear some odd noises, and that is because today we are recording this at the BOTB office. That is the coffee machine. You might be able to hear that.
Yeah.
It's a live environment, basically. We're here, we're in the office, people are walking around, there's a toilet right there, so you might hear some very unusual sounds over the next
a bit of flushing now and
45
again.
minutes or so. Exactly, it might be a bit of flushing and people coming in, having their lunch potentially, etc., etc. But we wanted to come down to the BOTB office today because that is primarily where Tim and I do a lot of our work. As you might know, I work at BOTB and so does Tim. And we couldn't do this podcast without BOTB. It's basically because of them that we are doing this. So thank you very much. BOTB, if you don't know, are the competition car company. They're the guys that put the cars in the airports, the people that give away a car every single week. It is my job to go and surprise that person with whatever they've won.
Also known as the best job in the world.
Which we're going to come on to in a second.
Oh, yes.
And of course, BOTB have just launched their brand new lifestyle competition as well. So not only now are they giving away a car every week, they're also giving away a lifestyle prize. So it might be a motorbike, it might be cash, it might be a tech bundle, watches are in there as well. And there's a winner for that every single week as well. So if you haven't checked out BOTB, BOTB.com. And thank you very much for allowing us to come into the office and film this / record this, depending on, of course, how you're watching. Now, Tim and I wanted to cover off one subject that both of us get asked a lot about, which is, how did you get your dream job?
Yes. How do you do it? Why did you get there?
Yeah.
All
you're
the wheres
so
and
lucky.
wherefores.
Oh, I wish I was as lucky as you getting to go and surprise people with cars. It is an amazing job, I'm not going to lie. And what Tim and I get to do is fantastic. But so many of you send us questions on Instagram. I get, people texting into the radio studio. I work at Virgin Radio. We'll cover that again in a minute. Just asking how we got into the roles that we do. And I thought it'd be a perfect opportunity, as we're in the BOTB office as well, to chat about our jobs and how we got to, get this dream job where we can go out and drive all these different cars and not have to, fork out £100,000 to own one. We just go and borrow one from whoever it is.
Yep.
And we get the enjoyment of going out and understanding how these cars work and et cetera, et cetera. But it is a job. So it's amazing that we get to make a living, and we're doing the whole inverted commas thing because, it's probably not the most lucrative job in the world going around driving all these cars. But I think Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond and James May
They're doing all right.
They're doing all right, aren't they?
Yeah, they've got a couple of quid in the bank.
Exactly, yeah. So we wanted to tell you how we got our jobs and any tips and tricks we could give you to potentially getting your dream job. And your dream job might not be driving around expensive cars. Your dream job might be being an astronaut. And I think there are some things that you and I have done in our careers that have helped us just get to the level that we want to. So
Should we start with you? You're
start with
Mr.
me?
Radio Man.
Okay, so I basically have two jobs. Well, I have a few different jobs, but two main jobs. I'm a radio presenter for Virgin Radio. I do a show at the weekend, 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. And it's...
Nice plug.
Thank you very much. Yeah, please listen. We need the numbers. It's one of those jobs which I never thought I was going to get into. And it was at university. I was studying a TV and film production degree at uni because my dad filmed a lot of cars. So my love of cars and love of radio has kind of come from my dad. And ever since going to university, in my first year, I was really shy. Every time I went out, like on a night out, I could never talk to any girls or anything on a night out. I was just really shy, and it'd be always my mates that would pull, and I'd go home on my own and then hear them doing all sorts of awkward things in the room next door. And halfway through my university career, my dad said to me, you should give radio a go. I was a DJ when I was a kid and I really enjoyed it. Just give it a go. And I thought, it's not going to be for me. Like, I'm really shy. How the hell am I going to be able to, speak or go into a studio and do a radio show? I thought this is never going to happen. But he pushed me and pushed me and pushed me. And then one day I went into university and I went into the student union where the radio station was, a student radio station called Pure FM down in Portsmouth. And I knocked on the door, and literally you do that thing where you knock and then you're like, no, no one's there, and you run away. Whereas, funnily enough, 2 seconds later, somebody opened the door with a snake bite in their hand. That's Strongbow and Foster's, or any kind of lager and cider mixed into the same glass, which is the staple diet of any student, as you might know if you're a student. And they welcomed me in with big open arms, and I went in and I learned all about radio, and then I was invited to be a guest on a radio show. And as soon as I sat down and the microphones went up, and I even get like giddy thinking about it today, it was an incredible experience. Even though we were broadcasting to probably 1 or 2 people, one of which was my mum, because she was listening always, long-time listener, never text, weirdly. And as soon as the mics went up, I was like, oh my God, I really want to do this. This is awesome. And I want to be sat where the presenter sat, like pushing all the buttons and fading all the faders and making this happen. Mm-hmm. So anyway, to cut a very long story short, I bounced my way up. But the way I did it was basically always being around, but not being too familiar. If you email companies or whatever wanting a job every single day, I can guarantee you that whoever's in charge of that business will get bored of you very quickly. Even if you are the best thing that they've never had or they don't know they've had, you'll get the cold shoulder very quickly. But if you just every couple of months just let them know you're still there, take them out for a coffee or whatever, it's amazing what a coffee and a conversation can achieve in life. A lot of people these days hide behind email. Ask them for a coffee. Just grab them and then impress them in real life. You're there, you need to potentially be in their office or whatever it is. Go and enjoy it. Go and see them. Go and buy them a coffee. Shake their hand. Be there as a real person. Don't just email them telling you how great they are. Go and show them. And that's what I did a lot with radio. I emailed my demo and I said, look, even if what you hear isn't quite what you want at the moment, I'd just love to meet you for a coffee. Let's go and grab a coffee. It doesn't matter where you are in the whole of the UK. I'll come and meet you. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing how far that took me. And I think a lot of people say you're so lucky. I do feel very lucky in my radio career that I've got to where I am. But I also feel like I kind of made my own luck. Like if you don't go out and you make the connections, as you know, and we'll come on to you in a second, exactly. Tim, that these things really do help you climb the ladder. So just go and ask people for a coffee. Go and get some feedback, even if it's not the feedback you wanted. It's not the end of the world. I've been told many times in my radio career that I shouldn't be doing radio, yet somehow I'm still doing it. I mean, final last words potentially, but and I love it. And I get to, talk to the nation. I know that sounds a bit cheesy, but I get to talk to people, and people allow me into their living rooms and into, maybe even their bedroom if they're listening to the radio in the morning or whatever. But it feels very amazing that people allow me to do that. So I love radio. I love working at Virgin Radio because the music we get to play. As Tim's a long-term listener,
it's funky music.
It is fun. Well, I want to hear funky music.
It's fun.
It is fun. It's really fun. And
it's fun and it's a bit cheesy.
It can be a bit cheesy, especially if I'm on air.
Yeah, very much so. But I love cheesy music, and that works for me.
But it's kind of like rock and the stuff that I really wanted to play. I used to work at Capitol, and I got, if I'm honest, a little bit bored of at the time playing Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift, kind of over on repeat. Now I get to play stuff like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Queen, David Bowie, all those artists that I grew up with listening to, with my parents around listening to, and I loved it. And now I get to play it. So
you still play a bit of Bieber, don't you?
Personally, in the car, maybe. Definitely not on the radio. So in terms of my radio career, I kind of bounced my way up because I just invited people to go for a coffee, really, and I think a coffee goes a long way.
It does. I mean, just to bounce off that point slightly, I hear it a lot of times. People talk about how they see their boss wherever they're working, whether you're working in McDonald's or whether you're working in the city, in a finance place. People see their boss as this scary entity. Up in it's not. It's a person, and they say, "Oh, I could never go and approach them." That's nonsense. They're a person. They were unless they've suddenly just been gifted a CEO's job. They were a person. They're a person. They were working from the bottom, just like you have done. They might be older than you, but they're a person. There's no need to be afraid of them. Just go and talk to them.
Completely right. And you'd have to think as well that boss, if they want to, promote you, then
they have to know you.
They have to know you, and they have to be able to know that you can communicate with them. Because if you can't, what's the point? They're not going to promote you because they're just going to be like, "Oh, Joe Bloggs, he's doing what he does, and he does it fine. So we'll just let him get on with it."
Average Joe, schlum on the floor, you're doing what you're doing.
Communication is key, and coffee is key.
Very much so.
Don't hide behind emails. Let's go on to BOTB because I've now been working here for it's probably coming up for nearly 3 years. But every day goes past very quickly. And that's how I know Tim through BOTB, because Tim was working here before I did. But me getting my job of surprising people with their dream car or their dream lifestyle product was something, I have to say, even going through university, I had no idea what I was going to do. And sometimes in life, you'll just go off on this little road, and that road will actually turn into a main road, and it is something that is very important to you. And getting the job here was very important to me. I used to play BOTB a lot. I mean, like every week if you play BOTB and you're listening to this, you'll know exactly what I mean. The frustration, the anger that you have each week when you're like, God, I was so close. Or, this week I was rubbish. I've got to do better next week. And it's one of those things that I didn't know about the company until I started playing, and I started playing it. I understood that it was real. You know, a lot of people look at BOTB and go, how can they give away a car every week? It must be fake, blah, blah, blah. But once you understand a bit more about the company and understand that it's a real thing and they genuinely do give away a car every week and a lifestyle prize every week, it entices you to play. And when you do play, you do go on this roller coaster of emotion of, my God, am I going to win? Am I going to come close? Am I going to get some dream car credits back? Like, what is that week going to hold? And you go on and you look at the picture and you pick out your spots on the spot the ball competition, and you bloody hope that, you know, come Tuesday morning, at the time, William, the boss of the business, was going to turn up at your doorstep with your brand new car. Yeah. And now it's me that does that. So I remember playing BOTB, and I remember, and I really hope Will's not watching / listening to this, but I remember watching his videos, and I thought, I wonder if he really wants to do this. He's the boss of the company. Surely he wants to be in the office, like making everything happen. Does he really want to spend all day on a Tuesday going out and surprising people? And weirdly enough, he did at the time. He absolutely did. He loved it. He absolutely loved it. If you ever get to meet William Highmarch, a fantastic guy, and he loved it. He absolutely loved it as much as I do now. But what ended up happening was that I thought, well, I can't just go in and take his job, because he obviously enjoys what he does, and I've kind of spoken to him and I've understood how BOTB works and operates, and it's very good for him to go out and, being the boss of the company, surprise these people. Makes sense, right? So it sounds normal.
And it was to do with size as well at the time, wasn't it, as well? Yeah, exactly. Before the company grew so much.
Yeah. So what happened was I thought, well, I really want to work for BOTB, mainly because I just want to try and claw back some of the money that I've spent on these tickets to win a car. And I thought, well, I'm quite good with social media. I'm quite good with Instagram, and I've played with Twitter before and tried to build businesses. My parents own a farm shop on the Isle of Wight. Farmer Jack's, get that in there. Great farm shop.
I've been there. It's very nice.
It is. Yeah, you have been there, haven't you?
I have.
Yeah. Did you buy some sausages? Great sausages.
I've got some bacon.
Fantastic. Still another pork product. And we wanted to kind of build up the following for Farmer Jack. So I searched a bit about how to advertise on Facebook, how to advertise on Twitter, that kind of thing. So I tried to help them build their business. And I thought, well, maybe I can go into BOTB and do the same. Maybe I can help with social, even if it's just one day a week. I quite like the company. I quite like the people that are there. So I emailed the marketing director. And I said, look, is there any chance I can just come in and have a chat with you? I'd really love to work with you guys. I've got some really good ideas I think might help with BOTB. Anyway, I came in for a chat, and I had a chat with Ben, and I think Vicky might have been in the room as well. And we just had a little chat about what I could potentially try and offer. And at the end of it, I think we both realised that at the time, maybe I couldn't offer anything amazing, but it was very good to meet them. And as I said, going for a coffee is always something that is a good thing.
Yeah. Always try.
Exactly, yeah. And I kind of left it at that. But what was weird was that I think when I came in at the time, I had I spent all my money, all my well hard-earned money from Capital, and I financed up to my eyeballs on a Porsche Cayman. And it was my dream car at the time. And I absolutely loved it. And I drove it to the meeting. And I think William or Ben might have seen me get out of the car or something. Anyway, a few weeks later, I get a phone call from Ben at BOTB saying, oh, that Porsche that you turned up in that meeting, is that yours? Because we've actually got a winner this week who's won a Porsche Cayman. Is there any chance we can borrow your car for the surprise? I thought, amazing. Yeah, of course you can. Like, this is cool. Like,
yeah. You're excited about it.
Yeah, I get to go and see how these surprises are done, and I'm kind of involved. Consequently, I realised that I hadn't won that week, the fact that I didn't play for my own car. But nonetheless, came in, dropped the car off. William did his video with it, and that was kind of that. And as I left, I just said, you know, William, if you ever don't want to do this anymore, or you ever get too busy in the office, please do let me know. You know, I'm a presenter of a radio station. I quite like presenting. I would love to be able to work with you guys and present the Dream Car videos. And again, it was another connection, just keeping that connection thing going and going. And he said, okay, that's you know, I'll keep it keep it in mind, keep it in mind. And then weirdly enough, 6 months later, didn't really hear anything. Just carried a day-to-day business of going to Capital at the time, doing my stuff there, and working actually for a small app company called Six Tribes, which weirdly enough has now turned into Drive Tribe, which you may know about, and we can probably cover that off in another podcast, because I was involved in, I suppose, weirdly, the creation of Drive Tribe. And 6 months later, I was weirdly going through Gatwick Airport past the BOTB car. And as I'm walking past the car, I get a phone call on my phone from Ben, the marketing director. He said, "All right, Christian, how's things?" I went, "Yeah, Ben, where are you?" He said, "Oh, I'm just in the office." "Why?" I said, "Well, I'm walking past your car in Gatwick. I'm literally off to go skiing. Like, what's up?" And he's like, "That's weird. Well, I was actually phoning to ask you if you'd like to come and do a trial for doing the surprises." And, that's kind of where it all began, really. And I came and did one surprise, and I remember it. It was a Maserati.
Nice.
It was a fantastic day, actually, that I did. And I was so nervous. If I go back now and watch the video, like, if you watch it, Tim, you might go, "Oh yeah, Lees."
You can see, can you?
Yeah,
you can tell you're a bit
clammy.
You're sweaty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Much like when we did our first show together.
Exactly. Yeah. Any of the BOTB stuff that Tim and I do, usually the first time we do it is always like, "Oh my God, we're going to mess this up, blah, blah, blah." And this podcast is actually feeling like the same. I was slightly nervous when Patrick turned on the audio recording equipment in the background, and he was like, "Go." And I was like, "Oh my God, this isn't a radio show where I can just quickly put a Queen song on. This is where we actually have a proper conversation." And then kind of from there, I suppose I've just been always at BOTB's beck and call in a weird kind of way. I've always been there, and it's not really felt like a job even from day one. And they say, don't they, that what is it? You'll never work a day in your life if you enjoy what you do. Is that the phrase or something?
Along those lines, yeah.
Yeah, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Something like that. And it kind of feels true. Like, as you do, we get to drive these amazing cars. We get to go and review amazing cars. And I get the privilege of going and knocking on someone's door on a Tuesday morning or FaceTiming them and telling them they've won a £100,000 supercar and £20,000 in cash.
And hoping that they are excited.
Yes. Yeah,
so many people.
That's another podcast
that is, yeah.
topic, I think.
Yeah.
But enough about me, because I feel like I've been chatting for ages about kind of how I got to where I am now. And I suppose it is just about communication, and it is just about going and getting coffee with the right people and just chatting and being really passionate about what you want to do. Because with the radio stuff, I'll quickly mention this. The first job I got in radio was up in Nottingham, and I travelled from the Isle of Wight to Nottingham every single weekend to do 2 overnight shows to then drive back again. Wow. And I slept on the Studio 4. And it was only 2 months into me doing that job that my boss said, "Oh, I need to send you a proper contract. Like, your trial's over. We think you're great. We'd like to give you a proper contract." "What address?" So I gave him my address, which was on the Isle of Wight. And he said, No. What's your address?" I said, "This is my address." And he said, "What? So you telling me that you're coming up from the Isle of Wight every single weekend to do 2-3 hour shows?" And I went, "Yeah, because I love it." And he went, "All right, well, I need to give you a pay rise." And I got a pay rise.
Nice.
But, I didn't gloat or boast that I was making that distance. I did it because I really wanted to do it, and that's where the passion came out. Passion, coffee, and communication.
There you go. Those are Christian's 3 tips to getting ahead in the world.
Passion, coffee, and communication. Yeah. So, Tim, a lot of people may have seen you in the videos, and they might have even seen you kind of knocking around BOTB's website now and then writing up a few bits and bobs. But a lot of people might not know how you've got to do what you do, or even know what you do.
Very much so, yeah.
Let's start. What do you do first?
Okay, there are 2 very distinct sides to my work life. One side is the BOTB side of things, and the other side is engineering, effectively. I'll go with engineering first.
Okay,
because I'll try and...
You can cover that one quicker than the BOTB one.
I'll try and precise it slightly, try and get it down into a short bit. For me, it has always been cars. My dad always was a massive petrol head, had some really interesting cars, all that sort of thing. And so for me, it's always been cars since I was a tiny kid. Always knew I wanted to do something with cars. As a kid, I wanted to be a car designer, like design how cars look, that side of things.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly realised that I was rubbish at drawing cars. The designing an actual car is far more difficult than...
Did you do that whole thing of like massively long bonnet? It basically looked like Postman Pat's van, but extended. That was always the car that I drew.
Yeah. I mean, I think I like to think I had a slight edge over some because I do have a design aspect to it, but that wasn't going to work.
Okay.
So I knew that I wanted to get into engineering. Basically, then that was the way forward. Thanks to my dad for pushing me into it as well, because I wanted to do car design, and he basically did say, "You're not good enough. You should do engineering. It'll give you more options."
Okay.
And he was very right about that. Very correct. It did hurt slightly at the time.
Yeah, I bet. Well,
to a 6-year-old boy.
6-year-old told you when you were 6.
No, 10, 12,
It's like
14.
telling someone you can't be a fireman. No, you're not strong enough.
Oh, and Santa's not real. Oh, sorry, you can cut that out. My daughter might be listening. Anyway, so yeah, basically I ended up going to university and I did a degree in mechanical engineering, specialised in computational fluid dynamics. And
that means nothing to me.
It's like aerodynamics, but with water.
Okay.
So there you go. That's one way of describing it.
That's fine.
But
I get that.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And then I started working straight out of uni, straight into working for different automotive manufacturers as an automotive design engineer. I've worked for most of the OEMs around the country, manufacturers.
What kind of thing would you be designing?
Literally
like parts or
parts, yeah, anything and everything.
Okay, and you do that on computer?
Yep, that's designing it in 3D CAD. Yeah.
And CAD stands for computer-aided
design. Yes, very good. Yeah. But yeah, working on anything and everything, basically.
Right.
I worked for most of the manufacturers. I straight out of uni, I started contracting, which is a very unusual thing to do. Usually, engineering contracts people are experienced people, and they get them in to do a job straight away. I basically blagged it from day one, and I went straight into contracting. Because
there's a lot of blagging actually. Fake it till you make it is a great phrase.
Exactly. I had
in any industry.
I had a real flair for the 3D CAD design side of things. I took to it very, very easily. So I blagged I basically blagged it into my first job that I had a lot more experience than I had.
But then that gave you a great stepping stone to then move your way up.
Yeah. And it allowed me to move around from job to job as well. Doing 6 months contract here, 12 months there.
Was there anything that that you think really helped you get onto that first stepping stone?
Really making sure that you know what you're talking about. You can blag all you want.
Passion again. Back to passion. No, yeah.
But you can blag all you want, but you've got to be able to back it up.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. And so, and I worked for all kinds of the most diverse companies you can imagine for 10 odd years. So from London Taxis, designing bits on the black cab.
I was going to say, is there one product that you pick out and go, I designed that heater knob or anything that you could...
Oh, I think there's loads of bits. If you look at the, not the brand new shiny electric black cab that's just come out.
The standard classic.
The standard classic.
The gold, silver or bronze, isn't it?
The TX4.
Yeah, the TX4. I love it.
It is.
The model
but if you look at the big bit of plastic that goes where you have the flip down seats, that whole big plastic piece there, that was mine. The Rinham plate plinth was mine.
Wow.
Worked on the electric fold out disabled ramp, things like that. So things like that, I'm on the patent for that. So that's all interesting stuff.
Cool.
Like that. And then I did a good few years working on tractors, designing tractors in Basildon.
Okay.
That's really good
I
fun.
grew up on a farm and we had quite a few tractors that broke down, so maybe that was your fault.
Quite possibly. Yeah, sorry about that. So that was, so engineering, all that kind of stuff. I then took an opportunity to leave gainful employment.
Scary move.
It is, yeah, because at that point I was working on in the tractor plant. I'd been doing designing for a while. I then moved into the IT department to do training people on CAD, and it was fun and it was interesting. And I got to do a whole lot of travel. We were implementing systems around the go. I worked in Turin, I worked in Modena for a long time. It's amazing places. But then me and at the time girlfriend had the opportunity to go to India for a year. And she was setting up a big project out there.
And your stomach's never recovered?
No, never has. And so basically then, that was the opportunity then. I thought, right, I'm going to start my own design consultancy because I can do that from anywhere in the world. And I did that. There's lots, and then I designed charging units for the on-street charging units.
Electric cars.
Cars, a company called PodPoint.
How long were you in India for?
Just a year.
Okay.
Yeah, that was enough. So I'll go on that one. But yeah, it was. So that was all that kind of stuff. And then when I came back from there, I carried on doing all the work that I've done engineering wise, and I still run my own design consultancy
Yeah.
now, doing product design, all that kind of thing. And I also do a company where I recreate classic car parts.
So that's basically if you've got an old classic car and something breaks on it, which they do
Very often.
very often, yeah. And you try and find that part. Of course, if the cars are very rare old classic cars, you're not going to really be able to find that part. So what you'll do is you'll recreate that part as a 3D model or whatever, and then people can use that in their classic.
Yeah,
Perfect.
so it's mainly Americana, 50s and 60s stuff. You can't get those parts anymore. Those cars were never designed to last a long time. Those cars they were expected to last 10 years and be junked when they designed them, because that's what happened in the 50s and 60s. And so loads of those parts don't exist anymore. So I take the old broken part and I measure it, scan it, remodel it in 3D CAD, and then get it 3D printed.
Okay.
So it's a part that they can use straight away.
Amazing.
Yeah,
so then
it's good fun.
How does that all tie into BOTB? How does that kind of tie into working for a dream car competition company?
Well, that's what the amazing thing is. It doesn't in any way at all really work in conjunction.
So it wasn't because of those things that you came across BOTB?
No, not at all. I hadn't really even come across the company.
Okay.
Basically, one of my oldest friends started a company called EQE25, which is a supercar club. Yeah, supercar club. It's now Auto Vivendi. He started that company from scratch in 2000. I think it was 2010. No, earlier than that, 2008. 7. Who knows?
It was a year.
It was a while ago.
Yes, a while ago.
Somewhere between then and now.
Okay.
And so he basically started the company, and every weekend he'd bring home different cars when the company was starting up. And there were things like Aston Vantages, R8s, the odd Ferrari, Lamborghini, things like that.
High-end cars.
Some high-end cars. Yeah. And because we've known each other for so long, basically he'd let me drive them. And I've been active on piston heads for many, many, many years.
Yes, if you are active on piston heads as well, you may have seen some of Tim's messages. He gets in trouble now and then.
I didn't used to back then as much. But yeah, so he'd bring these cars home. I'd drive them, take a few photos, and it would be a very short drive. And I would write them up and just post them in the piston heads forums. And it was just I'd do it every other weekend.
Background about the car, stuff like
background of the car, how it was to drive, take a few nice photos, just a written review sort of thing from a person who's never owned one kind of perspective. It was a very, that's what I think of it. I'm not saying you should think the same thing, kind of thing.
Okay, so it was a personal review.
Yeah, and basically they got really, really popular, positive reviews, blah blah blah, and it got to a point and somebody from Pistonheads emailed me and said, look, we really like your reviews. The next time you want to do one and put it on the forum, send it to us and we'll put it on the front page.
Amazing. Cool.
And for me, that was a click. And I was like, oh my God.
I could actually review cars.
I was like, that's it. If they put that on there, I'm a journalist. I mean, I was reaching at that point, but that was. But
again, it's going back to passion. You had passion for doing it, so you did it, and then obviously you started climbing the steps. So did Pistonheads post one of your reviews on their?
They did, yeah. I ended up having about 4 or 5, maybe 6, on there, because in that time, then the guy from EQE25 was doing something. I can't even remember what it was. They were doing something with Best of the Best.
Okay.
At the time, there was some connection with the two companies. Maybe they were doing advertising or something. And Rupert mentioned to the guy from Mercury that they needed some stats doing.
So Rupert is the finance director at
he
BOTB.
Is, but back then he did a bit more.
Okay.
But this was, bear in mind, I've now been working for BOTB for just shy of 10 years.
Wow.
So it's quite a long time, really.
Yeah.
I think 9 years. It was 2009-ish. I think.
Okay.
First time I made contact. And basically I started out doing all the stats. They were revamping the website at the time.
So BOTB got a new website and thought we need to put a lot more information about the cars that we're allowing people to
Before it was very basic sort of information they had on them. And they said they needed more stats and like a mini review of each car.
That's where you came in perfectly.
And so the QA guy suggested me. I got in contact with Rupert. And I started doing that. And basically that has just grown. And then my role grew a bit more. and then the website grew, and there's now nearly 200 cars on there.
Yeah, it's
and
mad.
I curate them. I'm like I do all the stats, I do all the reviews.
Perfect opportunity to thank BOTB again for letting us use
Exactly.
their office. And if you haven't checked them out, botb.com, you could be winning a car this week. I could be turning up to your house on a Tuesday, or a lifestyle product. Maybe you want to play for a Rolex watch.
Exactly. Yes, go and win an Apple bundle.
Oh yeah, the Apple
and you
bundle.
can be an Apple junkie like me.
You with your new iPhone.
Yes,
fantastic.
Anyway,
so with all those cars that are now online, you write all the little mini reviews that people look at when they try and pick their tickets, and they're going, "Oh, I might play for the new A35 AMG," which is a topic might get
later,
covered today.
And all the sourcing, getting all the images, resizing, all that kind of side of things.
Okay.
And then there's the blog as well. I do all the blog articles on the site, and of course I also now do the videos. I do video reviews that go on our
on the BOTB channel
and the In the Headlights channel, which we are of course doing now as such.
We are.
And so it's one of those weird things where with the BOTB side of things, it was just pure luck and happenstance that someone referred somebody, but it was, I believe it's the passion for doing it and a good work ethic and doing the job properly that led to them giving me more and more and more things to do over the years.
I think I know we've mentioned passion countless times now, but it does play a huge part in getting you where you want to go. If you're in the office after the boss has left, if you're in the office before the boss has arrived, like, they're going to see you're passionate. And why wouldn't you want to do that? If you love what you do, surely you just want to do it all the time. Yeah. Like, for me, work is not really work. It's just something that I really enjoy doing. And I suppose being paid to do it is a byproduct of getting to do something that we really enjoy. And it annoys me when I talk to people and they're like, I hate what I do. Like, why do you hate it? Oh, because of this, this, and this. How long have you done it for? 5 years. Maybe try something else. Yeah. Like, life's short enough as it is. If you don't enjoy doing it, try something else. Everyone has a skill, and everyone is very good at something. What that is for me, I'm still not 100% sure, but it's something is there. And it really upsets me that people get out of bed sometimes in the morning and don't want to go to work. Like, you have to love what you do, otherwise what's the point in doing it? My dad always said to me...
I hate those memes you see that everyone puts on Facebook saying, oh, it's Monday again.
Monday morning, yeah. I understand, we have a weekend off and that's nice, see all your friends and stuff, and it can be a bit of a ball ache going to work on a Monday morning, but if you really love what you do...
Change it up.
Exactly. And my dad always said, if you get out of bed in the morning and you don't want to go to work, just quit.
Yeah,
like, if you really
find another job first.
Yeah, maybe find another job. I don't want to be responsible for people's employment. But he's right. Like, there was one day that I woke up and I didn't want to basically play Justin Bieber anymore. And I knew that was the time that I had to move. And that was it. And I just made the decision. And luckily, Virgin was just restarting up as a radio station. And I managed, thank goodness, to get in there and kind of continue my radio career, which I absolutely love doing. But yeah, like, if you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, for me, it was. I mean, there was a point where it was moderately forced. My hand was forced slightly. That
I think everyone is in those positions at some point in their life.
You get to there's a crux, there's a point, there's a crossroads that you come to, and you can either continue on what you're doing, find the same thing, keep going, find another job doing the same thing if that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And if that works for you, then it's fine. But if you're not happy, and at the time, I wasn't unhappy, but I didn't enjoy going. I wasn't thriving. I wasn't like, yes, I really enjoy doing this at work.
Yeah.
It was just day to day stuff.
Yeah.
And I got the opportunity to change it up. And my boss at the time was amazing. We had the trip to India planned 4 months ahead. 6 months, actually, it was about 6 months ahead from when I was talking to him. And I said to him, I want to leave in 6 months' time. I'm going to be leaving. And he said, don't. Go out my office. I'll forget you ever had this conversation. just go. He said, just trust me. He said, trust me. Just go. I was like, okay, interesting. Right, okay. What was that? About 3 weeks later, I was getting a bit sort of twitchy at this point because I was like, I do need to actually put in my notice, blah, blah, blah. And I got called up to HR and they sat me down with the boss of HR and my boss. And I came in, I sat down, I was like, what the beep is going on here? Sit down, and he looks at me and winked. I was like, okay, this is either interesting or it just got weird. I'm not really sure what's going on. And basically, the HR boss said that they're making me redundant, that they were downsizing the team, and they were making me redundant. So effectively, he managed to work it that I got
a bit of a
made
payout.
redundancy, I got redundancy money, and I got paid out because he knew he had to downsize his team somewhere.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, who knows? For all I know, he was going to boot me out anyway. But at the time, I owe a huge amount to him. He was because we got on again. This goes back to what we were saying. He was my boss. I mean, he was a.
But you treat him as a normal person,
and we just. I forced my personality on him for a while, and we got on really well. We did loads of travelling to Italy and things together, and we just got on really well. And it really paid off in the end.
Hopefully, by you listening to this, and I don't mean you, Tim, I mean the people that are listening, have got kind of something out of what we were chatting about. It does, I think, come down to passion a lot, though, doesn't it? Now, even talking about it, I wouldn't have said the word passion right at the beginning, but talking about it more and more, it does seem like passion is something that really will drive you forward in your career to get your dream job, basically. Whatever it is, nothing is surely out of reach, or maybe an astronaut.
No. Well, maybe, yeah. Some things might be out of reach.
Yeah, I mean,
but passion and I really can't put enough emphasis on actual hard work.
Yeah,
it is not easy. I mean, I'm running 2 businesses of my own. I'm just starting a third. I'm doing all the BOTB stuff. I mean, this is the thing people don't seem to realise as well. Filming cars and doing that sort of thing takes a lot of time. People say, and it's not. It's not boring, taxing. It's not. I'm not in any way. I'm not a nurse. I'm not saving lives on the front line. But a lot of people see it as a real slacking around kind of job, and it really isn't.
Well, I think some of the YouTubers make it very much look like it is.
They do,
and
it's very good that they can do that.
Yeah,
but
there is a lot of hard work behind the scenes.
There is a lot behind the work. That is a subject for a whole different podcast, I think, isn't it? We can get some podcasting. We can get some YouTubers in, stick them on a sofa, and get them to chat.
No, as you're completely right. A lot of people look at what I do and what you do, and they think that looks so easy and fun. It's definitely fun, but it's definitely not easy. There's a lot that goes into what we do and behind the scenes stuff that people don't see. And of course, now we're in the world of Instagram and everything like that. You only ever see the great stuff online. You only ever see the final finished, polished product, which is not showing the hours and hours of sweaty armpits. I don't know what I was going to say there. And everything that goes into, that final polished product. Especially here at BOTB, there's a whole team of people working upstairs to make sure that everything that you do when you play the game and we surprise people is the perfect product.
Yeah.
And we're like anything, we're all always changing. We're always looking at the next big thing, and I think what BOTB
hence
is probably
podcasting.
Exactly, and I'm sure what BOTB have got planned in the next year is pretty big as well. But I don't know about you, I haven't been told yet.
No,
we're out of those meetings. No. We're not important enough. I mean, if anyone's got any questions or whatever, please do follow Tim and I on Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is you want to, and just ask us any questions. We're more than happy to answer anything. At this point, actually, I thought whether or not I wanted to, but I'm going to. Patrick's hiding behind these cameras here. I just wondered if you had any question or anything that you might have wondered after hearing us chat.
Oh, about career?
Yeah, just about career and progression and things like that.
This is something that comes from my perspective. Like, I didn't go to university. Did either of you go to university?
Yeah, so I went to uni, but if I'm honest...
I guess my question for leading on from that is, do you think university is required in today's day and age?
It's a very good question.
I don't think you need a degree to get a job at BOTB.
No, but weirdly enough, it all came around because of it. So university was, I suppose, the catalyst in my career for kickstarting a lot of things. Would I have started doing radio? I very much doubt it. So if I hadn't gone to university, would I still be very shy? Probably. Would that then have allowed me to work at BOTB? Probably not. Do I now use all the skills that I ever learnt in those 3 years of getting absolutely hammered at uni? No, not really. I use a very, very small percentage of it. But I think people forget that university is much about understanding life and living on your own and interacting with other people and starting hopefully a career and a learning process of something you really want to do, as it is about the actual passing exams and doing coursework and stuff like that. Did you go to uni, Tim?
Yeah. I mean, that was from the engineering side of things. So, I mean, I did a degree in mechanical engineering. I mean, it's a very, very hard degree. It's a lot of hours each week. It's like a 40-hour-a-week course, and it's very difficult. But for me, I didn't do particularly well at school. I didn't do particularly well in my A-levels. For me, that side of things never ever gelled.
I was more practical about
exactly
life than a piece of paper.
For me, doing exams, in the way schools tend to work, and I'm talking that was. Bear in mind, I am
a few years
41. So this is 25 years ago that I was doing A-levels. Back then it was. I don't know if it's changed now. But back then it was very much. You learn, and then you have to remember all of it and do an exam on it at the end.
Yeah.
Which for me is the most baffling way of learning in my life. And I didn't do particularly well at it. I can't focus on revising for exams. I hated it. But I got to university, and all of a sudden it was absolutely amazing to me. I managed to get into a course, started on a foundation, and that should have taken me a year longer. In essence, I gelled with it so well, the way they do things at university, more practical, more coursework based, and the way they taught. And it was brilliant. And I absolutely loved it. And I ended up going straight into the second year and blah, 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 blah. And it was brilliant.
Yeah. I think, I loved university. I don't think it's a must by any means. I don't think you must go to university to be able to get to where you need to in your life. A lot of people I already know and have met that aren't even quite at the age yet of going to university. They already know exactly what it is they want to do, and they've already started making connections in that industry. Now, I really do feel that if you can push forward, you don't need to go to university. There's no requirement to say you must.
I think it depends on the industry. It's in a way. I learnt so much in my university degree that I used during my design job. It's physical, actual learning of how to design, how to design things in 3D, bending forces. It's that stuff that genuinely did, get stuck in my brain, and I use it whenever I'm doing that work.
I think I learned more about life than I did about the actual subject that I was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I nearly failed my degree, mainly because I was always to be found in the Pure FM studio. That was where, if anyone was like, where the hell is Christian? Oh, he's in the blimmin' radio studio again. God. I was just honing my skill. Or the bar, yeah. Well, weirdly enough, actually, the radio studio was situated next to the bar.
Oh, dear.
Which was amazing. I even found out that I could make it to the bar, get it was like probably an Alka Pop or whatever, and make it back within the space of one song.
Nice.
Yeah, Wednesday night. That was a big night at uni. Big night. And I used to do just a 1 hour radio show, 7 till 8 p.m. And then I used to go out with all my friends. And it was awesome. I loved it. I loved university life. I didn't necessarily love the learning bit, but I loved learning about life. So I did really enjoy university. But as we just said, it's not necessary.
Where was that?
Down in Portsmouth.
Portsmouth. Oh.
Portsmouth, yeah. I grew up on the Isle of Wight, and I literally made it across the water. I went, no, that's it, I'm good here.
That's as far. It's funny. I grew up near Manchester, and I went to uni in Sheffield. So it's literally just across the other side of the Pennines. It's far enough, but not too far.
Yeah, well, I wish I'd gone further. I mean, there was good and bad points. Obviously, the good point was I could just pop on a ferry and see my girlfriend at the time and get my mum to do my washing. The bad point was that I don't feel, and I wish maybe that I'd gone a bit further so I could actually just really get involved in the university life. Because my first year at uni, if I look back now, it's just a bit rubbish. Like, I didn't really get involved with all the things I wanted to. It was only halfway through my second year that I really started to kind of understand university and understand the social side of it. And not just about going out and getting drunk, but all these different clubs that university let you do. And for the likes of, I'll take Greg James, for instance, breakfast presenter on Radio 1. Like, he went through university, he loved student radio, and now he's, on Radio 1. He's really enjoying what he's doing. And when you meet, I've met him in the past, and he's very passionate about what he does. And it just goes to show that if it wasn't for university, would he be where he is? Maybe not. because he understood and he really learnt his craft at uni, and he loved student radio. I can't even tell you what he studied. I can't remember what he did. I mean, he's done a lot of talks on it, but it was maybe like an English literature degree or something, but nothing really now that he probably really uses.
Yeah, it's down to. I think it depends. It totally depends on what your chosen subject, or what you know what you want to do. I think if you don't know what you want to do, it's probably, it sound awful, but it probably might be a good idea to go to university, to go a course, because for a start, you can always change.
Yeah.
People don't realise you think you're stuck on a 3-year course and you're stuck onto it. You're not. You can change. You can always change things up at university into a completely different degree if you need to.
you might just stumble across something that you never knew you'd love, like me with radio. I went in thinking that I was going to be behind a camera all my life. Now I'm in front of the camera most of the time. But to go into university and study that, and actually halfway through uni and go, hold on, this is good, but I really enjoy this radio stuff that I'm kind of doing as a social side, was amazing. And I'm glad for university. Could I have done it without it? Probably not, but it definitely helped. Definitely helped. I hope that answers your question, Patrick.
Well, there
we go.
So, I was going to say one question to you is, going back onto our BOTB life as such, is there one moment that stands out for you that really piques your interest when it comes to your BOTB life thus far? Well,
the one moment that always stands out for me is getting that phone call from Ben when I was walking through the airport, weirdly enough, past the BOTB car. It was like it was all meant to be, but it all kind of weirdly worked out at exactly that moment in time. I was stood next to the BOTB car, and I get a phone call saying, would you like to come and surprise one of our winners to potentially then have you surprising them every week? For me, like, I was just about to go on holiday. It was an unreal sensation because this is something that I really wanted to do. And there I was, stood next to the car, and I got that phone call. So that's the bit that really stands out for me. But in terms of just working at BOTB, it's seeing people's faces on a Tuesday morning. Yeah. It is priceless. Well, I say priceless, it's probably worth about £100,000 supercar and £20,000 in cash, as it was the week just gone. But just seeing people's faces. Like, a lot of my friends ask me if I get jealous. And I honestly don't. No. I honestly do not. Like, the cars they win are insane, and I'd love to win one of those. But to see the look on their faces, to
see the joy,
and to be able to change people's lives, I guess, we're handing over huge items of value, and it changes people's lives. Like, sometimes you'll turn up to somebody's house and you think, wow, like, we went to Croatia and the guy lived with his dad and stuff. Like, he'll be able to afford to go out and buy his own place, buy his own car. Whatever it is, with I think he took the cash alternative to whatever he won. And he's going to be quids in. Seriously, quids in.
You could be talking that you're handing over to them €100,000 to a guy who lives with his dad. I mean, that's mega. That like you say, that is life-changing stuff.
Yeah. And that's what I love about BOTB is they do change lives, and they get people to be able to drive cars that they've never been able to drive before. So all the people that have won and taken the car, they're now driving around in something that they might have only ever dreamed of, which I think is just such a lovely thing to be able to do. And if you are listening to this, and you've never played BOTB, just jump online and have a look. BOTB.com. You could be next week's big winner. You never know.
Exactly.
Tim, I know we've spoken quite a lot about careers and stuff. I did want to touch on just maybe a couple of car bits of news before we wrap things up. We've got a few minutes. I wanted to talk about the Jimny.
Oh,
the Suzuki Jimny, the new one that is being crowned, I suppose, as the baby G-Wagon.
Yep.
Which, I mean, if you put one next to a G-Wagon, there's quite a big difference. But
it actually looks more like a Jeep, I think, actually.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
The old Jeep.
Yeah.
I think, there's been a lot of press about it, and I cannot wait to get behind the wheel. I don't really know why it appeals so much. For me, it's because it's small. It's... for me, it's small, it's funky looking, it's light, and the Jimny has always been it's like a mountain goat. They're light and they can get over anything. A lot of times they're actually better than the big 4x4s.
Neither of us has driven one. We've seen a lot of pictures, and we know some people that have gone out on the press drives and stuff. Suzuki, hi, please. Let's have a Jimny for a weekend.
I sent them an email like 2 days ago.
Oh, fingers crossed then, fingers crossed. And the car looks cool, don't get me wrong. The inside does look a bit cheap.
It does look cheap, but it's a cheap car. I mean,
Yeah.
with the BOTB have got one in the competition occasionally, in the special promotion to do, and I think it's 18 grand the one they've got, but they start. I think it's 14 grand.
You can actually, so you can buy the base spec.
The base spec
For
is about
14
14 grand, and it's the same engine and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. It's just spec wise on the inside. So yeah, they are a cheap car, so it's going to feel cheap inside, but it's just so funky.
Would you buy one?
I wouldn't, because it doesn't fit in with what I need
Right.
with lifestyle kids.
Who would
and
buy
whatnot. I think if you were looking to buy something like a Fiesta, you know,
Right. I'm interested to see where this is going.
if you want to buy a hatchback, just a Fiesta or a Corsa or something, this isn't wildly different in price, but it's far cooler to me. It's more individual. It's cool. It's very, very of the moment. That you've got these bright yellows and weird green
Yeah.
colours and stuff. So yeah, that's
And
the kind of thing.
Do you think they're going to sell well for Suzuki?
I believe they've had enormous amount of interest in the UK for it and across Europe. Bit of a boo boo came in. It didn't do particularly well on the crash testing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's
So a 4x4
generally
not doing well on crash testing, that's not great.
Yeah, I mean, basically now cars, it's weird if a car doesn't get 4 out of 5 or 5 stars, which I think they need to change the system, because if everything's getting 5 out of 5, it doesn't really make any sense. But it only got 3 out of 5 stars,
Right.
which is pretty bad in terms of that. But it's nothing to do with how it is in a crash. It's all to do with the fact that it doesn't come with, because those crash test scores now include things like, has it got collision avoidance? Has it got lane
right.
assist? Has it got all the nannying
mod
stuff
cons.
that you don't really need? So yeah, it's still a safe car. If you have a crash, you're not going to die. But I love it.
I'm not sure. Is that illegal? I mean, it depends on how it crashes. Okay,
Yes.
so yeah, Jimny, cool car. I probably wouldn't own one, although my mum had one of the really old ones, and that was quite fun, tearing around the farm on that. It was good.
Yeah.
And there was a few occasions where I thought it was going to topple over.
My little sister said she would love to have one.
Really?
Yeah, she's 25-ish.
Okay. Yeah, they're cool. I think
is.
it passes the ITH tick of approval.
It does.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
And quickly, just before we wrap things up, A35 AMG obviously got
Ooh, yes.
announced a couple of weeks ago now. Looks wicked in its launch colour, which is that kind of like yellow. You probably know the colour code for it.
No, yeah, it's a big, lovely, vibrant yellow.
Yeah.
It does look like solar beam yellow, but it's not solar beam yellow.
No,
I think
okay.
that's a £7,000 option.
Now, I wanted to ask you, because you're kind of the man in the know when it comes to stats and figures.
Mm-hmm.
We're obviously waiting, a lot of people are, for the A45. Now, why have Mercedes brought out an A35?
Yeah, a lot of people have been very confused and thought that this is the replacement for the A45, and it's not.
So there is an A45 coming.
There is an A45. I think it's an A45, or it might even be an A50. I'm not really sure what
wow.
they're going to call it, just to try and differentiate it more. They might go with 45 again because it's a continuation.
Yeah.
But the old A45 was 370 odd or 380 horsepower. So the new one, the new A35 has come in at 300 horsepower. That is now a direct rival. So it's 300 horsepower, it's all-wheel drive, and it's got a 7-speed dual clutch box.
That sounds quite familiar.
It's exactly bang on the money, and well, stat-wise and cost-wise for the Golf R. Right, the Golf R is by far the best-selling. Everyone loves it. It's
Hot
got
hatch.
hot hatch,
Yeah.
sort of.
It's a wicked car.
It is. It's a flipping brilliant car to drive, and so that's now got a direct rival in the A35. And then you've got the Civic Type R as well. They're the same sort of power, same sort of money. Then you go up a notch,
Yeah.
which is your RS3 and what was the Focus RS. They're in the now approaching 400 horsepower range. So that's where the A45/A50 is going to come in, and it gives them an opportunity to give it another shot of adrenaline in the arm, and it's going to be over 400 horsepower
Cool.
because the RS3 is 400 horsepower. So they're not going to come out with less than that.
Yeah.
It's going to. I don't know where it's going to be. 410, 420
Price range? What's the A35 coming in at? Can you remember?
is pretty much about 35 grand.
Okay, so A45, another 10 on top of that? 5 on top of that?
Yeah, the old
isn't
one was 42, 43, so it's
Okay.
probably going to be 46, 47. I
Right.
mean, that is an absurd amount of money for a hatchback. Coming from my point of view of cars as they used to be, I mean, you're spending 45 grand on a little hatchback is mental. But this thing is going to, and the new RS3, they can outperform most supercars. And they're usable, they're practical, you can use them all day, any weather, and they are amazing. I think it's very clever by Mercedes they're expanding their AMG portfolio now. You've got your 35 and your 45. It also probably allows them to make the A45 a bit more aggressive as well. I mean, because the A35 looks just like the old A45 did.
Yeah.
It's got the aero pack. They're not toning it down. It's got the aero kits available. It's got nice wheels. It's very aggressive looking. So the 45 is probably going to be even more mental.
Yeah. I mean, I love AMGs, and I think that's a perfect example to end this week's podcast on. Mercedes has always been a brand that has been very close to my heart. My dad grew up with Mercedes, and I love all of their AMG cars. I think they're fantastic to drive. I mean, there's a whole podcast in chatting about power and cars and stuff. But thank you so much for listening.
Yes.
Hopefully, from what we've said, rambling on about how we got our jobs has been a little bit insightful for you. Mainly because we get asked, this question quite a lot of how did you get your dream job, and etc. So I really, really hope that has helped out. If you are playing the BOTB competition this week, good luck to you. You never know. I might be the one surprising you on a Tuesday morning with your dream car. Maybe it was the A35 that we've just been talking about.
Yeah,
BOTB
been added in.
Yeah, just been added into their dream car competition. Maybe you're playing the lifestyle competition this week, playing for a motorbike, a watch, even just 10 grand in cold hard cash if you want it. BOTB.com. Go and have a little look on there. Every single week they give away a lifestyle prize and a dream car prize. Tim and I will be back with the End the Headlights podcast very soon. Thanks again for listening.
Thank you very much.